epic. Out of all the animated films of 2013, this seems to be the most intriguing one to see. Not because it's a sequel or a follow-up to a previous film or that someone big in the industry is making it, but because this is something new, something that seems more serious than the others, something from Blue Sky out of all studios, so you never know what you're going to get with this. But will this new direction lead Blue Sky to more possibilities to what they could do with their films? Or should they stick to what they know? Let's find out. The story. The main story itself, I won't lie, sounds a bit familiar. And by that, I mean it shares some similarities to something like Ferngully or Avatar. You have this person that's been transported, or in this case, shrunken down to a bug to save an enchanted forest that's filled with tiny forest people, where the animals are either a mode of transportation or a giant threat. It's been done before, yes, but I will say that they did it better than the movies I previously mentioned. What Epic did is that instead of having a really preachy environmental message, they replaced it with a lot of cool action scenes, and it has a more fairy tale feeling to it. I gotta say, that's a major step up, and it makes the story pretty solid and often engaging on its own. However, they try to add in some side plots as well, and it doesn't really connect to the main story, like Nod's story goes nowhere quick, and the relationship between MK and her dad feels more out of place and takes us away from getting into the movie. Plus the fact that these characters aren't that strong to sustain a plot on their own. It would have been a lot better, or at least an improvement to the film, if it only focused on the main plot it had and not get distracted by the other pointless events that happen. I'm not saying that the story is bad, but there's a lot of room for improvement. The animation. Now here's the part that would make everybody go, wait, this movie was made by the people who made that movie? This is far different than the cartoony style that Blue Sky would normally make. In many ways, the animation makes me think of DreamWorks' Rise of the Guardians, and I'm not just saying that because of William Joyce's involvement with the movie. But it shares similar character designs with a realistic storybook approach, an emphasis on the environment, and its close attention to detail. Although not as colorful as Guardians, the enchanted forest therein contains as much magic, with all the characters mixed with a plant element, and the use of plants as clothing is very creative as it is beautiful to look at. Even in the Bogan side, it captures that dark, creepy, decaying area of the forest. But one thing that this movie really nailed is the detail of the designs. From the bark of the trees, to the skin of the people, to the fur of the animals. Since our characters are mostly small, everything has to be way larger than life, and they can get up close, and it's like you can practically feel the textures of whatever's on screen. What I'm really impressed with, though, is the use of character animation. There are some characters that move more realistically, and others that are more cartoon-like, but they manage to work together pretty well, and one doesn't overshadow the other. Also, they mention a theory that when you're the size of a bug, everything that's larger than them, like the average person, would move a lot slower. The result is that they have a really clever use of characters going in slow motion. With the animation this fun and wonderful to watch, I feel like they've been holding back with the Ice Age and Rio films. The characters. I get the feeling that the movie is focusing on the wrong characters because the main ones are not at all interesting. MK is just your average down-to-earth teenager who's meant to relate with the audience because she's from our world. Her dad, Professor Bumba, like I mentioned before, feels too out of place in this movie with his more over-the-top nature, like if the crew wasn't too sure if he's meant to be a comedy relief or not. And then there's Nod, who is a more rebellious Leafman, and he's just too arrogant, cocky, and stubborn for us to care for him. When it comes to the more secondary characters, you'll be wondering why aren't they focusing on these guys? There's Ronan, the leader of the Leafmen, who's actually a complex character who is more serious about his job, but also has feelings for the Queen of the Forest. There's Mub and Grub, who at first I thought I would hate because they would kill the mood of the movie and annoy me no matter what. And guess what? They're actually really funny. Yeah, I'm really surprised to find that they're some of the best characters in the movie. I kid you not. And then there's Mandrake, the villain of the film. Thanks to Christoph Waltz, he manages to pull off the charismatic yet sinister and menacing villain like what he did in Inglourious Basterds. The rest, like Queen Tara and Bufo, are actually barely in the movie and are just there so that they could have Beyonce and Pitbull's name on their ads. Although Queen Tara is a pretty important character in the film, she doesn't have to be played by a big name like Beyonce. They are able to make great characters, and it shows in some, but they didn't put in enough effort to the ones we need to care about. This is without a doubt one of Blue Sky's best movies in a while, with their best animation they've made yet, but they could have worked on the story and characters more, even if it is passable as it is. This is a high recommendation to those who enjoyed Rise of the Guardians because, in a way, Epic is like the spiritual successor, sharing the same advantages, flaws, and William Joyce. Or even those who liked Fern Gully or Avatar will enjoy the familiarity of being in an enchanted forest. I think I should earn a medal for this review. Did any of you notice that not even once I made a single joke using the word epic?